Self-publishing used to be considered the ugly stepsister of the book publishing world, like Cinderella, and I'm happy to say that those days are behind us. As a publishing professional, I know that, but I know that some of you don't. So today's video is all about busting 5 of the most common myths about self-publishing. I'm Jodi Brandon of Jodi Brandon Editorial. I'm a book editor, a writing coach, and a book publishing consultant. And today I'm going to bring you on board to understanding that self-publishing is not only a viable path to publication, but often the best path for entrepreneurs who want to write a book to scale their business. So let's talk these myths. Number 1, self-publishing isn't real publishing. This was probably the case and a perfectly valid argument maybe 10 years ago, definitely more than 10 years ago. There was traditional publishing and then there was vanity publishing where you had to pay a company to publish your book for you. No longer the case. You definitely don't want to do that. But Create Space from Amazon and Lulu and Ingram Spark, there are lots of companies out there that will print and distribute a book for you. And the quality is almost exactly the same as a traditional book publisher uses. You're not going to find, the cheap paper and the ugly fonts and anything. You used to be able to take a book and you would know by looking at it that it was self-published. The game has changed, everybody. It's so not like that anymore. And if you look at a traditionally published book next to a self-published book, if it's been done the right way, professionally, you can't tell the difference. So myth busted. Number 2, self-publishing costs too much money up front. Again, I'm talking about those vanity presses from the past where you had to pay, thousands of dollars to have your book published by them. That's not what we're talking about here. There certainly are expenses up front when you're self-publishing. You'll pay for your editor, you'll pay for your formatter, you'll pay for your cover design. Those expenses are usually taken care of by a traditional publishing house if you're publishing that way. However, the flip side to that is you're keeping so much more of the profits. You're keeping, up to 80%, 90% of the profits, depending on your price point and who you're publishing with, versus keeping with a traditional book publishing house, maybe 20%, if that, and that's after you've earned back your advance money that you get up front. So yes, there are some costs up front, but most of my clients find that the pros definitely outweigh the cons on that front. So that myth also busted. Number 3, I can't make any money self-publishing. This is just simply not true. You are not going to become a multimillionaire probably by self-publishing. I'm sure that there are exceptions out there, but by and large, yes, that is true. That's not a myth. However, I would bet that you are not writing a book to become a multimillionaire. Am I right? You might want to make some money, some passive income, but your primary goal is not money. Your primary goal is maybe it's credibility or growing your platform or increasing your the number of people on your email list or getting visibility to launch something even bigger next year. So all of those things, they have nothing to do with money. So if money is your driving number 1 reason you're writing a book and self-publishing, then no, you might not consider it a success. But if those other things, credibility and visibility and authority and business growth are your goals, then you're going to be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and call that myth that you can't make any money also busted. Myth number 4, self-publishing is only for people who cannot get a traditional book deal. No, again, just not the same. It used to be this way. Self-publishing was sort of like a last resort if you couldn't get your manuscript accepted by a traditional book publisher. These days, that's not the case. A lot of entrepreneurs that I work with, when we first start having conversations, traditional publishing isn't even mentioned. They're not even interested in going down that road. Self-publishing is the way they want to go. And the reason usually is control. You control so much of the process when you're self-publishing. I actually have an opt-in about this, and I will link to it below if you want to read about some of the other big reasons that you might want to consider self-publishing. But most entrepreneurs find that self-publishing is the best option for them, not a backup plan. So we're going to go ahead and say that self-publishing is only for people who can't get a traditional book deal. Myth busted. And finally, myth number 5. It's too hard to get book reviews when you're self-published. This is just also simply not true. But getting book reviews is hard no matter how you're publishing. And that is unfortunately just a fact of the industry. And it's kind of a crummy one. I know that as someone who self-published her own book last year and struggled to get reviews. So many people say that they're going to give you a review and then they don't, and chasing them down and begging for reviews, all of those things. It's not fun. But that's a fact of publishing, not self-publishing versus traditional publishing. It does not matter your path to publication. Getting people to follow through after they've committed to giving you a book review is difficult, but it has nothing to do with self-publishing. There's lots of sites that will accept book reviews for self-published books, that offer book reviews for self-published books. All of those things are out there. It's just a matter of, doing a little bit of hustle to find them. But again, I'm going to say, too hard to get book reviews? Myth busted. What other myths do you think there are about self-publishing? Do you have any other questions about self-publishing that I can ask, or myths that I can bust? I hope that you will think about it and let me know what you think about self-publishing as a viable option to get your book published and increase your business.